Welcome everyone. Small group today. For the people at home as well, thanks for watching. At the Innovation Café, for the people who haven't been here before, we're a networking event here in Eindhoven where we try to show what Eindhoven has to offer in the fields of tech, design and knowledge. Today we have Rico Fiorito, who's going to talk a little bit about the company Cooloo, who's also a partner from Kazerne actually. So hereby I want to invite Rico to the stage.
Yes, I'm coming.
And we're very curious to hear your talk, so
good.
Take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hi, my name is Rico Fiorito from the company Cooloo. This is our nice new little logo, say Cooloo. And like you see here, I'm going to talk a little bit about design furniture, upholstery and sustainability. That's like the core of the company. Thanks to the Kazerne for inviting us and judging that our technologies are innovative enough to talk to people from an innovation cafe. So I thought, let's sum up if we are innovative enough to talk at this point. So the previous picture you saw was during the Salone del Mobile in Milan, the big furniture fair. So I took some pieces from the media afterwards and looked if the media thought that we were innovative or not. And then I found a few phrases where they said leaders in development, interesting solution, radical material innovators, sustainable coating solution. So I thought, that is everything coming close towards innovation. And at one point I was thinking about, but innovation or technological development doesn't really have an added value if it doesn't really solve a problem, or if it doesn't accompany like a need or something that people want. So that's why I first want to start with the problem, because there is a problem, of course. If we look at furniture industry, what we are currently, the word that we use is like the same as fast fashion. You also have fast furniture, where we have this data from the Substitute, which is a Dutch online community where sustainable furniture brands can promote themselves, and they do research to see how sustainable and non-sustainable the market is. So what you see here, for instance, 10 to 90% of all furniture that we get in Europe ends up in landfill or is burned. Only 10% is recycled or reused. So those numbers are actually pretty bad. So environmentally we have a challenge to make furniture more sustainable, and that's where we come in. So the Substitute has one more, they have a pretty cool document which they made where you see what fast furniture is about and what the numbers are in the current European market space. So most of the stuff comes from China. Stuff only lasts 7 years. 11 billion kilograms of furniture is thrown away every year in Europe. So this is a massive problem. So we thought to bring like a solution for this problem. So where does the problem lie? We're going to zoom in a little bit to upholstery. So first I'm going to explain to you how a classical upholstery works. Then I'm going to explain the problems about that. And then I'm going to tell you what our solution for this problem is. So a classical piece of furniture is made. You make this shape, then you take a piece of fabric or a piece of leather, you're going to cut it into different pieces and sizes. Somebody else is going to sew it back together, and then the third guy is going to try to pull this piece of fabric around this shape that you have created. This process is pretty long. You have a long supply chain. You need people who can do all these steps, and it generates a lot of waste, because if you cut your little shape, then you have all these sides which you have to throw away, because the fabric manufacturers can't do anything with it. The market can hardly do anything with it. So 30 to 50% of the fabric you use, you have to throw away. You need this special labor. Also, you have these long supply chains. So what the furniture companies have been doing is getting this, the producers as far away from the local market as possible to get cheaper labor, or else they couldn't compete in the market. And if you want to refurbish this thing, then you have to throw the old fabric away and start all over again. And then you have, again, the 35 to 50% waste with the 100% of the original fabric that we have to throw away. So that is a part of the problem that we want to solve. So then we come to this guy, who's sitting again in the palace in Milano where we did the presentation. And he's sitting on one of 5 old Italian design classics. So I'm going to give you a small insight from this picture. The left side was an old furniture piece, 10 years old, Italian design from an old Philips office. That was just going to be thrown away, and the value new was like 10,000 euros a piece. Only to refurbish that with the original fabric, put new fabric on, was so costly that it wasn't economically valuable to do it. So what we did with all these chairs is just leave the original fabric on and then spray a layer of waste material on the outside to give it a new look and feel. So for instance, the white one is made out of marble waste, the brown one is made with recycled wine corks, and then the right one is leather waste, jeans waste, and he's also sitting on a piece of leather waste. I chose this picture with this guy in the middle because he's the one who actually came up with this concept and innovation. He saw this problem like 20 years ago, where he saw these long supply chains, where he saw these problems with the fabric that's been thrown away and all this labored workforce that you need. And he thought, why can't that be done in a different way? Because we're throwing all that stuff away, we can do it more economically and more sustainably. He thought, instead of doing all these processes with sewing and knitting and all these steps, why can't I just create my ship in whatever material I want? Is it foam? Is it going to be hard, soft, old, new, whatever? And what if I can spray the upholstery on the outside? Then I don't have to do all these processes. With my spray, I don't have hardly any waste material to throw away. That will be a way more effective way of producing it. But at that point, 20 years ago, when he had this idea, then the work really started to innovate it into a real solution. And at the same time, the problem was not on the agenda at that point. So first I said innovation, what did I say about innovation again in the start? Innovation needs a problem to solve or needs a need from a market or something. And at the same time, you have this phrase from Victor Hugo, who says, what he said again? Oh, nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And so we have these problems in the market now, and now finally the idea of this guy, which is my business partner, became valid because we started to combine his technological vision. How can I create furniture in a more sustainable way without all these steps and all these waste materials? And then my side of the story was, I said, okay, how can we do it as sustainable and circular as possible to also reuse local waste materials and promote local production? So then we came up with this is the innovation. So you saw the blue chair on the earlier slide from the fabric. This is our technology. This is made from leather waste. So the concept that we have here is we just create the same shape that you created with the blue one, only we don't use any fabric, we don't use any knitting, we just spray the upholstery on it, and the finishing we make from waste materials, like leather waste, cork waste, like I explained earlier. So the positive sides from this innovation and idea is that you don't have waste in the production process. You can utilize local waste materials, so all the waste that we use comes from leather productions in Brabant, old wine corks from the restaurants in Amsterdam, jeans waste from the textile factory in Enschede. So we take local waste materials and or make new products or use local old worn furniture. For instance, these would be perfect to refurbish with leather or cork or whatever to give them a new look and feel. So the base, that's a technological part. Normally if you have a foam and you use fabric, then moist and bacteria can enter the foam, the soft foam, and then it can start to deteriorate. What we do is with the base layer, we conserve this foam so that it can last 30, 40, 50, maybe 60, 100 years. And the only thing you need to do is refabricate the outside. So for instance, if you have a design piece standing in your garden after 10 years, you're like, I don't like the color anymore. We can sand off the base or the waste material, the top layer, reuse that leather, and then we spray jeans waste or cork waste or whatever, so you can keep reusing your product. It's scalable around the world, so we're looking at possibilities to get these technologies to the local places where the most waste is. So for instance, we're working on a project in India where they have a lot of waste streams with this leather waste that they just throw into the river. And then we want to try to teach them our technology so that they can locally utilize their own waste materials. So no supply chains, not that kind of stuff. You can locally produce it. So with Dutch labor costs, you can produce economical furniture here. And the reuse and refurbishment is a really big plus. So normally what Shai explained with the fabric, if there's a tear or it's worn, you have to throw the whole fabric away and start the process of upholstery again. With us, if the thing is worn or if your cat bit off a piece, I don't know, or your dog, we can just sand it, glue the whole back together and just apply a new layer of waste material, and then your product is as good as new. The only thing you need is a little bit of glue and our binder that we developed ourselves. So we recently did a study together with the Plymouth University in the UK, and they calculated that with our product, if you use the refurbishment options, then you're 98% circular. So the only thing virgin material you have to add is the little bit of glue. Yeah, so this is a slide a little bit bigger than the screen, no problem. So this is just examples of the material. This is the leather waste, this is the cork waste, which we spray onto acoustic materials. So you can also use it as an acoustic for like big panels or for walls or whatever. We actually don't really care what you spray it on because you can use it on any type of product or material. So it's soft and flexible, acoustic options, yeah, refurbishment, easy to customize because we can just create a shape from a mold or cut a shape in whatever size you want, and the spray gun never discriminates any kind of shape, whereas upholstery with complex 3D shapes, sometimes it's more difficult. Yeah, here are some more examples. We do a lot of test methods to see how that works in the market. So for the finishing, this is a small explanation how that works with a linoleum floor. You take an old linoleum floor. We have developed a machine that can grind almost any material into the right fraction so that we can make it into the finishing. So we grind it up, and then afterwards with our spray technology we can get this grinded material onto the product as you're finishing. So here we do it with linoleum, but we can do it with leather, cork, jeans. We're working on textiles, so also working with Dutch furniture companies to use their leftover fabrics, textiles and leather, grind it up and then use their own waste materials as a finishing for their new product. So yeah, okay, technology-wise I explained a lot, but how is this also working for sustainability and circularity? So the guy Leo I talked about earlier, he developed the technology 20 years ago, not really knowing this or the concept without really having the theory of the circular model that we have now. But in the course of working together with him, we found out that the technology already ticks most of the boxes. So easy to refurbish, easy to reuse, waste materials locally, resourcing them and reusing them. So then we started to mold the model around the company and make it actually a core. So what we do normally, this model looks at, okay, you have a raw material, you make it into, you have something from the earth, make it into raw material, make it into a component, a product, and it goes to the market. This takes energy, but recycling also takes energy because you have to tear the whole thing apart again, and then if you recycle it into raw material, you have to do the whole cycle again. So like I explained earlier, what we do is we try to keep the product up here so that you don't have to do all these steps, just refurbish the outside, make the furniture in that way that it lasts almost forever so that it can have an endless life, and just keep refurbishing and repairing the outside, because that costs also less energy and resources. That's where we need to go. So what do we do with all these technologies and innovations? We have our own standard products. So these are modular lounge seatings, which are also outside here in the little courtyard. This is the Amoeba. This is the first chair on feet without a frame. So normally to make this thing you need a wooden frame inside with steel bars, and then you put your fabric around it and that kind of stuff. This is just a mono block of foam. We cut it in the shape, and the way we combine hard and soft coatings, this thing remains stable. So last year we won a Good Industrial Design Award at the Dutch Design Week, digitally, unfortunately. These are blocks we make with gold, copper and concrete waste. This is a similar chair which you saw earlier. Since like a year we also do big kind of art objects. This was on the rooftop in the Salone del Mobile in Milano. And I particularly want to show you this because it's the story around behind it is really cool. We challenged Dutch architects and designers and told them, okay, look at our technology, find a waste material and design an art piece or an exposition or a design piece based on that to tell the story and to show the possibilities, what you can do with our innovation. So this guy is an architect from Eindhoven. He's in the Klokgebouw. And his mother was a marble sculptor. So they went to the Carrara mines where the marble is from. They found little blocks which were not big enough to use as kitchens or whatever. And then his mother would make that into art pieces. So these are two of these art pieces that his mother made like 30 years ago. But originally they were like this big. So we 3D scanned them. And then we 3D milled them out of soft foam. And then we coated them with marble waste again. So the object is soft, but it's still from marble waste to get this total circular family story together. We do a lot of refurbishment. So like I said earlier, take old products from the market, give it a new look and feel by adding a local waste material. So this was originally from like a ING bank office, but nobody wants this ENK orange in his house or in his office anymore. So we just take the thing, mount it off, leave the fabric on, and just put a layer of leather waste on top, and then the product is as good as new to use. And this, once we've done this one time, this process you can keep repeating endlessly. Because these products from the Italian market 10 years ago, the quality inside is so good that it's going to last forever. Only the outside is going to wear. So here are some more refurbishment examples. Make dinosaurs from copper. And this is a lot what we use now is the concrete waste. So we have most of the materials are flexible, but we have one material which we make from pearl glass. And there we make a concrete from waste materials, which is super strong and durable. This is also an example. So we do products, but also custom projects. So architects come to us and say, okay, we want a real cool 3D shape with integrated planters and couch, whatever. So here we created this 8-meter long, how do you call it? Swindle thing with integrated planters. And then the outside is the concrete waste again. And all these tables and the bar and stuff is also the concrete waste in Belgium. This is a cool project we did during Corona times with Red Bull. So all these objects are made from the concrete waste. And then here is an innovation which I came up with. These are acoustic foam pieces, but the guy wanted it to look like it was steel. And because this is for Red Bull, he also wanted people to be able to punch the stuff, that it was soft, but it looked like hard metal. So we coated the outside, the fronts, with a base coating that closes it and makes it look like real metal. And then the inside we left open so that the acoustic vibrations could enter the panels in between and then enter the material. So it looks cool, and it also has an acoustic function. This is here in Eindhoven, the VDL headquarters. So here, what I explained earlier, you can make any shape you want. This is a soft couch with the cork waste, and then this is the concrete planter. A little bit of innovation future idea for you guys. So where we at one point think that we have to go with the furniture production is cut out all these steps in between where you need this workforce and make it into like a machine-based production, where we think at one point if you can make a chair just from a mold, open the mold, the product comes out, goes into the first spray corner or something, automatically the first layer gets sprayed on, you choose in the machine the finishing you want, and the second the second station of the production process, you get your finishing and then your product is done. That's the way we think that in the long run we can totally automate the production of design furniture. So that's where we would like to go. This is just some novel, how do you call it? Stuff which is unique, but I'm not going to tell you the whole stuff. This is a little golden cube in the Palazzo again in Milano. And then actually this is the end of what I had to say. So if there are questions, they are very welcome. Thank you.
There's a question from someone online. I don't know if you can hear me now, but either way, the question is, I am assuming that the designs are forever, meaning you cannot change the form. Is there a way to change the form, as we know that every generation fashion and furniture sense changes?
For this product, so the question is if you can change the form, because the forms are going to shape. These Italian classics, I think they are timeless, so that doesn't really is not really necessary. For this one, it's also not possible because there is a steel frame inside, which makes it hard to reshape. But if we look at our more these kinds of shape, here there's no frame inside. It's just the foam and just the coating. So, for instance, if you want to reuse it or reshape it, you can take a knife, put it into the foam, and then peel off the foam, then peel off the coating. Then you have the coating which you can press into base plates, and then you have the foam again. So you could possibly then, we do it sometimes when we make a couch which is too long, and then it doesn't fit into the door or the stairway. We just cut it in half and then coat the sides, and then your chair is half the size. So that is possible for the products that you produce within our base technology in the core. Because if there's a frame inside with steel wires and that kind of stuff, then reshaping is going to be difficult. But yeah, this would be pretty easy to reshape. Or if you have the couch here, and if you would want this shape to be a little bit more curvy, or cut it into 3 pieces and then glue it on top of each other in a different way, then you could totally redo it, glue it together, new layer, and you have a new furniture piece. So that would be possible, yes.
I guess in general, like, I mean, you're already extending the life of something that otherwise would have been thrown away anyway. Yeah. So in that way, then it's just an extra that you would be able to change.
Yeah, and that's also going to be cool for designers, because I think it's interesting to also push designers to Because if you have to make a new interior and you can choose every product or every material in the world that there is, because we're such a wealthy society, then actually the creation process is not that interesting anymore. You need like boundaries and restrictions to really get your creativity sparked. So for instance, if in 10 years a new architect comes to this office and says, this couch is here, what can I do with it? If he then comes with us and says, comes to us and says, okay, I want to reshape this, and we together with him can work to make this into a new shape. It doesn't have to do anything with this, but we can reuse the whole materials. That will be best, and that will be interesting for me to challenge these interior architects. Okay, look at it in a different way. Don't look at the pictures in the catalog and see, oh, this is a nice chair, this is a nice chair. Go look, start looking from the materials that we have. So sometimes we get the discussion about, yeah, we cannot, we need to have the leather in this specific color. Then we say that's not possible because the leather waste comes in all different colors and we can't really direct it into the specific color that you want. If you turn the design process around and start with, okay, what waste materials do we have? What colors do we have? And what can I match if I know that these colors are available? But that also, you need a shift in thinking to get that far. Because we are also, we are a little bit spoiled that we could choose any color in a catalog that we want or any raw color. So that's something that we need to change in like design perspective, from my point of view. More questions?
So the furniture has been brought to your facility
Yep.
to be treated. You have
Yep.
not yet considered to do it on site?
Sometimes we do it with smaller. The question here was. The furniture is brought to our production location, and if we have thought about refurbishing it at the place itself. For smaller repairs, we do that with large objects that are not really suitable to get out of a building and back in. But most of the times it's more efficient and the quality is better when we do it at the factory because we have the suction machines, a special application, and because we work with these dust materials, it can get a bit dirty. You don't want that in a nice office space. At one point, I think the market will shift that the transportation is not going to be the problem anymore. So within our concept, we think that every radius of 300 kilometers, you should have like a little Cooloo factory where you can take your stuff, refurbish it with local waste materials, and then get it back to the local market to abolish all these transportation movements. But if at one point everybody starts to transport electric, then the CO2 emissions of that part don't really matter anymore. Within the study with the Plymouth University, we found that for the first product that you ship in from China, it's like 8,000 kilograms of CO2 emission. And if you then refurbish it locally, it's just 150 grams or something. So the problem is not really in this smaller area here.
I was not only thinking about saving transportation, but also other applications. I mean, you could coat other things than furniture.
Yeah, true.
Handrail or parts of the building.
Yeah, what he's saying here is that we could also coat other stuff that's already in the location. Yeah, that is possible, yeah. For the concrete, we do it now. So we have a lot, like with these kind of projects, all these pieces are way too big to get inside a building, so they always have to be in pieces. So we prepare them in pieces, then we mount them together on the locations, and then the seams we coat on location. But currently our machines are not suitable enough to do everything on location. But that's something that would be interesting in the future, if we could make like a little handheld super soaker, what's the guys called that go behind the ghosts? Ghostbuster type of thing, and then just spray cork everywhere, yeah. So that's something we still need to work on.
Do the materials keep all the qualities of the original materials? So say like if you have cork, does it keep all the cork materials and everything?
They keep all the properties of the original material. So what you see in like sustainable or reused plate materials, sheet materials, there they use the waste materials and they soak it into like a binder, and then the binder is also the outside. What we do is we do everything in layers. So our binder comes onto your base material, and then the waste material comes on top. So then you still have that it's only the leather on the outside, so you keep the tactile values of the leather, but so there are good parts of that, so you keep that tactile, the cork remains antibacterial and insect repellent. Only the lesser side of that is the leather is not UV resistant. So in the sun, it's going to, the color is going to change. So that's something we are always working on to honestly tell that in the market. But then we tell them, for instance, what we do at ASML here in Veldhoven, they have a big terrace next to the highway. And at one point we had all these lounges for their rooftop. And they said, okay, yeah, but in November, December, when it gets cold, nobody's going to stand on the rooftop of a office building next to a highway in Eersel. Can you storage them for us? They were like, yeah, sure, but if we storage them for you, we can also refurbish them or check them in quality-wise so that the longevity, the lifespan of the product is also lengthened. So what we did there is in March or April, when the Dutch weather becomes sunny again, we put the stuff outside at ASML. Then in November, we come back, we take back all the stuff, we check it on all the quality points that we have, because if we check the quality in time, we can also fix stuff earlier. But if somebody pinches a hole in it and nobody looks at it for 3 years, then it's harder to repair. So then we look at it and we say, okay, maybe this piece needs a little bit of refurbishment. Maybe we put a new layer of cork on there. And then every year they have a brand new piece of furniture actually standing outside. So that's also a way that we are looking at how we can change business models. Instead of you owning your piece of furniture, you can also lease it from us. And then every winter we come pick it up from your garden. And then next year we take it back to your place. And then every year it looks brand new, because everybody knows outside furniture, weather is going to kill everything. So that's something we're also working in, to change how these business models work to get this industry also more sustainable.
I wasn't sure if you mentioned this. I think you mentioned it in the talk actually already, that it's not, as we were saying, like it's not 98%.
Yeah, the circularity index calculation.
Like what? So say like your chair ends in a flat, like the material ends. Like what happens with that? Is that like, can you do anything with that afterwards, or is it then completely done?
Yeah, then you would.
Waste already, so it's already used once?
Then you would sand off the top layer, the cork and the leather we can reuse in the process. The only thing you would need to do is get the knife inside, peel off the coating, and then you have the coating in your hands, which is a flexible material, which currently cannot be remade into a raw material to make the original again. So you can only downcycle it, recycle it into a lesser valuable product. So we use it to make the base plates on the bottom of our products. And the foam you can recycle, because then you have just the coating and the piece of foam. And the foam block they use for, they shred it up into small pieces and then they press it into a new different shape. They're working on recycling it with chemical recycling. And now in the Netherlands you have Retourmatras, which is part of IKEA, and they just take back these foam mattresses and make it into new ones. So there are more solutions coming from that industry as well.
Great.
Only for classical furniture with a sofa with springs and wires and steel and different types of foams, yeah, it's just not that easy. Because taking a piece like that apart and dividing all the different materials takes so much time that it's never been done. So that's why everything ends up in the landfill and is burnt.
I don't know if there's any other questions in the room here, but there's a question online. So, yeah. Okay. Then, where do you see current gaps or challenges in the development of the furniture?
Sorry, what kind of challenges?
Where do you see current gaps or challenges in the development of this furniture?
Market acceptance is the biggest challenge, because there's this big current furniture industry that wants to hold on to their market, of course. Innovative challenges. Yeah, the coloring is a thing, because now we only have like 4 or 5 colors that we can do. So something that was a challenge for us is, can we find a way to separate the colors in the leather production process, for instance, so that we get just red leather from the leather production company, just blue leather, and work together with them to get all these supply chains in such a way that we can make any color of leather that we want. That's a challenge that we're up for. And the development of the machine to grind it up in the right fraction. So there are a lot of machines that can do grinding, but they can only go up to like 1.5 millimeters, and we need to go to like below 1 millimeter. Only there are not really machines in the market there yet that can do this. So that's something that we need to develop and push machine producers to develop something with us to make this the quality better, and this dividing of the materials that can make it into color. So now we're doing tests where we get like the blue fabrics, the orange fabrics from production companies. But the problem there is we can also only do it in small portions, because we have a small laboratory grinding machine. So that are steps that we need to do to get our product range bigger and better. More challenges. Yeah, no, I think that's it. The rest is just market.
Aren't you cheaper? Isn't this cheaper to spray furniture than wood?
Yeah, so for the refurbishment part is way cheaper. Because the most expensive part of the product is the upholstery and the way that they make this all beautifully Italian. So this is way cheaper, but if you look at the production of new furniture, then we are a little bit more expensive because we produce everything in the Netherlands and the wages here are high and the base materials are pretty expensive.
Yeah, but still, if you have now this piece of foam and instead of putting leather on it, which as you described,
Yeah.
has to be cut and sewed together, you just spray.
True, only the base layer that we need to make the foam resilient enough to work without a fabric, that also costs some money, but we don't need to use that in the refurbishment. So currently, we are not super expensive, but we are not super cheap. So we cannot compete with products that are produced in China from IKEA or small or bigger brands which do bulk. We can compete with high-end Dutch design products. So we're like mid-end. This had a question as well?
Yeah, how do you select the waste streams that you use for coatings? And are there also waste streams that you want to stay away from?
Good question here. How do we select the waste streams that we use? We look at one point, we look at is it soft, flexible, and how does it feel? Is there a lot of waste material? So if we can find like a really cool, nice material, but if there's hardly any waste, why bother using it? What we normally do within the development process is, if somebody calls me up and says, yo, Rico, I have this bag of waste material of this and this and that stuff. Can you do something with it? Then we'll always just say, okay, send it over. We'll just do a test. And then we'll just make one little test, a square, and then just see how the material feels like, how it handles. And then we can pretty easily and fast say, okay, this one works, this one doesn't work. So there we just do little tests to see what works and what doesn't work. And my feeling now is that we should try to use as much natural materials as you can. And here I'm looking at cotton and leather as a natural product, which is maybe a little bit disputable, but we also did tests with like PVC waste or plastics waste, but then at one point we thought it's not really good to use, maybe it feels really nice, but to use like a plastic on the outside, because the next thing that's coming is of course the microplastic issue, which is coming in a few years. So if you would spray microplastics on the outside in these shapes and it would wear, then all these microplastics would get into the environment again. So then I would opt more to use cork, for instance, because if it wears and it gets in your garden, doesn't matter, it's just cork, so it's a natural product. Leather is also not that big of a problem, dependent how it's used. Cotton should also be good. So still try to keep away from the plastics. We're doing the rubber from cars, from the tires, where it's disputable if that's the good direction or not. But we're always going to try, and at one point we have to think, is this smart or not to do? And then the plastics, I would say no.
Are there certification issues? So I'm not at all familiar with how furniture is certified regarding health and safety or fire safety. Is that different for your product?
No, so the question here is what certifications we have and how that works. No, we try to use all the standards that are currently there in the furniture industry. So you have the certifications for fire, you have the toxic certification. So if your dog would eat a piece of our furniture and would be digested, what happens then? So we have the certifications for that nothing happens, the material will just leave the dog's body without how do you call it? Yeah, taking any toxic substances in. We do like Martindale tests, which is a classic test where you take like a piece of fabric and there's a rubbing machine and it just goes rubbing for 20,000, 100,000 times and then you see how the wear is. So we use that kind of test as well. The only problem is all the tests that are available in the market for wear are based on woven materials or leather. So woven, they do the test, and if at one point one string breaks, then the test ends. But because we spray all these little particles next to each other, we don't have a woven thing, so this test doesn't really work for our stuff. So then we get like this microscope analysis from the test lab, and then they say, yeah, something broke there, but then but the product's not broke because it's all these things next to each other. So there, it's also something that the current market is in, like a specific certification part that we need to rethink. Okay, that doesn't work. So what kind of other certification can we use to get into this market and to have people believe in the innovation and the solution? Then there's fire certification. We don't have. Oh, that's a good one. They're not. I don't know if there are certifications for allergies. We do have the dermal certification. So if you rubber for a long time, that you don't get like red stains. That all works. Allergies, no. Yeah, the positive thing that we have that it doesn't have VOCs. So normal. A lot of pieces of furniture still have organic. What's it called again? Vluchtig. What's in English? Volatile. Yeah, yeah. So that you take your piece of furniture, you put it in your home, and then it constantly is still vapor is coming from it. We have a certification that we don't have that, so that makes it also better. So that's good. Other questions from the room, or maybe from really smart people from home who are googling everything I'm saying and saying, oh, he's lying.
I do have one more question, because you mentioned something about going to India and teaching people there.
Yeah.
Is the idea to have this open sourced, or is it more like collaboration style in that way?
Currently it's collaboration style, where we work together with an NGO who base they're in like 50 countries worldwide, and they look at commodities. So they look at gold. How is the gold mining in Africa going, and how can they challenge the child labor and start female entrepreneurials to do business themselves there. They do like cotton, they do leather. So we work together with them to see where these commodities are and where the waste materials are. And then with a local company, so we set up a branch with a local Indian company, with local people, so that they are the entrepreneurs, because I don't want to set up companies in India or other places. People who live there have to do it themselves, because then you get way more interaction with the market, and that people really want to do something with it. So then teach them in collaboration. Still, we are in a classical way that you have to protect your innovation a little bit to make it volatile also, to get your investment out of it, because of course this has taken a long while and a lot of money, and there's a lot of people we still need to repay in that sense. So that's a barrier for open source. I do like the idea, I would want that, but then we have to find a new system how we do this open source, where you still have a benefit for the developer. Because what we would want is to work together with these local producers in, I don't know, Colombia has leather industry, Argentina has leather industry, India, and we here in the Netherlands keep developing the materials and the technologies, so that at one point maybe we come up with a good idea for Argentina, and then I can call the Indian guy and say, hey, we have a new technological innovation from the Argentinian leather, maybe we can use it at your place as well. Or maybe you have a textile factory nearby which we can use in the loop. So we need to find a way how this collaboration keeps inspiring all the parties that you're working with, because then you can make the impact the biggest.
Then I have one more question from online, and then I think it's time to go and have a drink afterwards. How are you going to market the products to incite cultural shift? Can an individual buy this for their home, or is it currently only office? Because it looks a bit officey to me.
Ooh, yeah, it's true. It looks a bit officey. The strategical idea there was, if we can implement in offices first, we can have more feedback from market, also from one person, from a facility manager, instead of selling it to 20 different consumers and getting all this little feedback from consumers who might be less, educated about how furniture works and that kind of stuff. So we started with this office furniture, and now you can buy it from us, and it's gonna get into the catalog of Goossens Wonen, which is like this big Dutch brand. So now for the market acceptance, we want to work with parties who have a big sales network in the Netherlands, and then together with them and Dutch designers, develop new product lines and new products that suit also living home interior style, because now indeed it's a little bit officey. So we want to work with designers to see how they can make it more into shapes that are suitable for the home environment. But with these technologies, you're going to get different types of shapes than you would get with the classical furniture technology. So that's something cool to see if we can spark some Dutch designers to do that with. So if she has ideas, she can always email me. Oh, it's in the last page. And so you can see where my phone number is as well. She can text me all night long. Yeah. So here it is. She can send me an email if she has a good idea.
Then if there's no more questions from our audience here, no? Good. I think there's been plenty of questions already. Then Rico, thanks for...
Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, for everything. I'm just going to close up. Everyone at home, thanks for watching. Everyone here, you're very welcome to come and join us for a drink at the bar. We also hope that we see you again another time. If you want to see the program, you can go to ehvinnovationcafé.org and there's the full program for the rest of the year, basically. So we hope to see you any other Thursday here. If you did bring a drink here, please take your glass to the bar and then we see you there. So thanks.
And come to Dutch Design Week, right?
Sorry?
Come to Dutch Design Week.
Oh yeah, come to Dutch Design Week. Yes, exactly.